And for something like that to happen for the pleasure of a fan base like the one that the Florida Panthers has is probably one of the most disgusting ideas that has ever come into my mind in the entirety, probably in close to the entirety of my life. I always kind of prefer to be able to say positive things about other teams' fans because I would kind of prefer for other teams' fans to be able to say positive things about us. But I think that what we've seen out of these Florida Panthers fans over the past couple of seasons now, okay, obviously you're talking about it's a few different corners of a fan base that are always going to attract the most attention. But you know, the ones that are attracting attention in this postseason, and in the particular the last postseason, uh, they do not say good things about that team and its fan base at all. I think maybe, I mean, there's a lot of different things that come to mind. I mean that jerk off on Saturday night is sitting there wearing a Panthers jersey underneath an Oilers jersey, and he waits until they score the I think it was the 4-1 goal, and he pulls off this Oilers jersey and he's wearing a Panthers jersey underneath. If I I can't I can't say exactly what I think about somebody like that without without running the risk of having this entire YouTube channel, you know, shut down. Uh, I think I couldn't imagine what it would be like to actually live a life for as many years as that guy looks like he's lived his life. And then you arrive in that particular moment and you have no genuine loyalty. Absolutely no. Like, could you imagine being in that guy's fan? Could you imagine being in like a marriage with somebody that would do something like that? Like, just kind of know that just like there's just like no loyalty like whatsoever, like no loyalty to something like that. Would you ever trust a person like that to ever being loyal within their marriage? I mean, that's just, don't even know who the hell this guy is. I sure as hell hopefully I sure as hell hope that he never ever does get like identified by name or something like that, because that's just, to me, absolutely nothing good could ever come of something like that. But I mean, just oof. I mean, just like the definition of mercenary. And for that guy to actually sit there, I mean, to wear like two crested hockey jerseys, one over the other, in June in Edmonton, has got to be the one of the most uncomfortable experiences that you could one of the most uncomfortable things that you could ever even possibly do in your life. And that guy was willing to endure that just for the sake of being able to walk out of the building looking like your team won. And from the look on his face, the fact that he was willing to do that, like right out there in front of God and everybody, like this dude obviously does not even care what anybody thinks of a stunt like that. I mean, that's, I've talked about jersey tossers before on this podcast. I'm sure that I have, and I've talked about how little I think of them. I definitely think a lot less of this guy. I mean, holy shit, just holy shit. I brought it up, but I don't really have the words for it. It's got to be very hard to listen to somebody trying to come up with the words for something like that. Let's kind of move on to something that I do have the words for. So let's go back to Game 4. And if you're watching that broadcast very closely, when the Oilers had that 4-3 lead going into like literally the last 30 seconds of that game, and It looked like they were going to have come back from that 3-0 deficit to win 4-3 in regulation. And there was a guy sitting there at rinkside, like right down close to the ice, in a Panthers jersey, and this dude was crying. Like, this dude, he was crying in the last minute of Game 4. He's crying like his team just lost the Stanley Cup, when really all that was about to happen was that the series was about to be tied. Like, that's how emotionally fragile some of these Panthers fans are. They can't even cope with not getting a 3-1 series lead. I mean, tied at 2, both teams have a fantastic opportunity to go to that 3-game little mini-series. Like, almost like a series within the series, 3 games, and win the Stanley Cup. That can still go either way. Your team can still win. Why are you crying? Like, even at that particular juncture of that game, it's a 2-1 series. Your team is not going to win the Stanley Cup tonight. So it's not like you just missed out on your chance to see your team win the Stanley Cup on home ice. Your team actually still has a chance to do that. They have it now. It's only Game 4. Why are you crying? Last year against Vancouver, I was actually watching that game with a friend of mine, Game 1, when Edmonton coughed up that lead and lost Game 1 to Vancouver. And the people that I was with, they were extremely disappointed, I should say. You know, to say the absolute least of it. My friend, he looks at me and he says, "I don't understand why you're not mad." And I just looked at him. I just said to him, shrugged, and I said, "It's a 7-game series. Series is 7 games. This was 1." You know, and sure enough, the Oilers came back in that series, won it in 7. You don't panic after 1 game. And you don't cry after 4. I think that even if your team gets swept and they just lost in 4, you still don't cry about it. Your team just, the other team just tied the series. That's all it is. Why are you crying? What's wrong with you? I've never been able to find any footage of that little snapshot moment. I guess maybe I'm the only person that noticed it. I don't know. Maybe I am. But that was one that really just kind of like bowled me over. But to me, the biggest standout, like the flashbulb moment for me, for this Florida Panthers fan base, actually came last year, also from Game 4. And so, I hope to God that whatever this is just doesn't exist anymore. I saw it once. Somebody had done like a screen capture of like a TikTok or an Instagram reel or something. But it was basically this guy with the Panthers jersey on. He came to Edmonton thinking that he was going to see his team, win the Stanley Cup in a 4-game sweep. And this was taken after the game. And this guy's talking about being pretty much like right at the top of the lower bowl, pardon me. And who happens to be sitting behind him but Anna Kane with some guy from Florida who she had come up to this game with. Isn't supposed to be there. Like, Evander Kane has a restraining order against her, so she's not supposed to be in the same place as him, but she was. And so this guy starts talking about how this guy that Anna Kane had been there with had been airdropping photos of Evander Kane's ex-wife to pretty much anybody that he saw there with a Panthers jersey on. And then the guy kind of did a thing with his phone, and he showed these photos that this guy had been airdropping. And let's just say that they were after photos of Anna Kane asleep in bed after photos, I think you get a sense of what I'm talking about. I mean, hey, it is episode 69. But at least that's what they looked like to me. And so this guy, Panthers fan, that she had gone to this game with, sat in a luxury box, if I understand the story correctly. Even if I recall the story correctly at this point, it's been a year. But sitting in a luxury box with this guy, and he's sitting there and he's airdropping what basically amounts to intimate photos of her to other people in the building. And this Panthers fan that came all the way from Florida up to see his team hopefully win the Stanley Cup, and that night they did not. This dude's sitting there and he's laughing about it like he thinks that it's funny. That is a whole level of just sheer, like, degeneracy. I mean, I've taken my exception with Oilers fans before. Hell, I've done it in the past. I've done it in the past 3 weeks. This whole situation with Oilers fans fighting each other at the watch parties, after wins. Like, the team hadn't even lost that night; they won, and you're celebrating by fighting each other. Like, that kind of disgusted me enough. I had to say something. What Oilers fans did with Chris Pronger, the crib where his child had slept. They bought the thing from the rental place just so they could burn it. I mean, that is pretty sick. But what happened to Anna Kane during the Stanley Cup Finals last year was a violation. And this dude thought that it was funny. Over what? Over a hockey game? Over a hockey championship? That's what you're willing to violate somebody's dignity like that over? That's dumbfounding. And let's not forget that, just a few years ago, this team in Florida, they couldn't have fucking sold a ticket. They couldn't have sold a ticket if they had Jesus Christ himself, putting on goalie pads and jumping in net. Like, people in Florida, they did not care about this team one little bit. They had some bad years, made the best of those bad years at the draft, and then went to the off season and made some moves, and they turned around, eventually built themselves a powerhouse. And yes, admittedly, the Florida Panthers over the past few seasons have been an absolute wagon. But before that happened, these were people that couldn't have given a fuck less about this hockey team. And now suddenly, these are the kinds of people that are the biggest fans in the world. Like, talk about the definition of a fair weather fan. And I guess all things considered, I mean, being in Florida, God knows there's plenty of fair weather down there. Can't hold that against them. We should be so lucky. But I think that it's really going to, if the Edmonton Oilers don't find some way to pull this out, it's going to absolutely stick in my craw that people, as even just within that fan base, let's just maybe take a step back for a moment and just kind of recenter ourselves and proceed from the assumption that maybe that fan base is overwhelmingly, primarily made out of good people. Even just those particular degenerates within that fan base, for them to be able to walk away from this series happy, I think that is something that is going to stick in my craw for quite some time to come. I don't even think that's the sort of thing that should motivate this Oilers team to go out there and do the very difficult thing that is now ahead of them. But after that performance in Game 5, like I do wonder exactly what it is that's going to take to get them motivated. You know, is it going to take the realization that at least you can spoil a couple of days for some truly shit people by coming out more than flat in in two hockey games? Is that what's going to take to motivate you? Fine, whatever. I don't care. Just do it. Don't give it up to this team again. Not to this team, and not like this. Go get it done. You know what you have to do. Just go fucking do it.